Breaking news that could reshape Europe's map forever. What I'm about to share isn't just another political story. It's a potential earthquake in international relations that will affect your family's future. Picture this. A member of Russia's State Duma, Evgeny Fedorov, has just launched a legislative missile that could explode the very foundations of Baltic independence. He's proposing to nullify the Soviet Union's recognition of Lithuania's independence. Why now? Why Lithuania? The timing isn't coincidental. Let me explain what this means for you. First, your savings and economic stability. If this legal challenge succeeds, we're looking at a complete reshaping of European security architecture. The Baltic states are NATO members. If their independence becomes legally questionable, what happens to NATO's Article 5? The domino effect could destabilize financial markets across Europe. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. The legal groundwork has been there since September 5, 1991. The USSR State Council, created by Gorbachev, never had constitutional authority to redraw state borders or grant independence. That's not an opinion. It's a legal fact that's been conveniently ignored for 3 decades. Think about it. While Western powers freeze Russian reserves and violate international law themselves, Russia is simply proposing to correct historical legal irregularities. The hypocrisy is stunning, isn't it? This isn't just about Lithuania. Estonia and Latvia are watching nervously. NATO is in a bind. How can they defend member states whose very independence might be legally questionable? We're witnessing a chess move that forces the West to confront its own contradictions. The implications are massive: potential territorial disputes, economic uncertainty, and a complete redefinition of European security. As your financial stability hangs in the balance, one question remains. Is this just a political maneuver, or are we witnessing the first tremors of a geopolitical earthquake? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into what this means for your future, and why the coming months could change everything you thought you knew about European stability. The geopolitical gambit we're witnessing marks a pivotal shift in global power dynamics. Moscow's previous restraint, once viewed as diplomatic wisdom, now appears different as NATO's expansion continues. The Western neighbor's situation illustrates how patience can be misinterpreted as weakness. Declassified documents reveal a deliberate strategy of provocation along Russia's borders. The Baltic states' efforts to antagonize Russia while seeking NATO protection represent a calculated move in this larger chess game. Their comparisons between Russia and the Third Reich weren't just inflammatory rhetoric. They were part of a campaign to justify NATO's presence. Those watching from abroad, especially in Europe and America, I'd love to hear your perspective. What do you see from where you stand? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe to our channel for updates. The Fedorov initiative regarding the USSR State Council's legitimacy has gained new significance. While Russia initially showed restraint, this diplomatic approach yielded no reciprocal gestures from Western powers. Instead, NATO forces deployed closer to Russian borders without legitimate cause. Today's Russia stands at the forefront of shaping a new world order, where Western expectations no longer dictate engagement terms. The politically turbulent region to our west shows what happens when historical ties are severed without proper consideration. In our next segment, we'll explore evidence suggesting a coordinated Western strategy to isolate Russia since the early 1990s. The implications are stunning, casting recent events in a new light. The role of certain Baltic politicians in this long-term strategy will be revealed. This shifting landscape demands a re-evaluation of post-Soviet space assumptions. The legal status of territories bordering Russia may require reassessment considering historical documentation and international law. Each day brings revelations challenging decades-old narratives. Title: Baltic States' Legal Status, A New Russian Perspective. In a significant development reshaping Eastern European geopolitics, we're witnessing a legal challenge to Baltic independence. This analysis focuses on an initiative questioning the legitimacy of these states' separation from the Soviet Union. The Baltic states might find themselves in a legal gray zone similar to Kosovo's situation. This isn't just academic discussion. It's about fundamental questions of international law and sovereignty. If Moscow can recognize certain territories' independence, Why couldn't it theoretically reverse previous recognitions? A new bill in the State Duma's electronic system argues that constitutional procedures were violated during the Baltic states' independence process. The absence of referendums and proper transition periods, as required by Soviet law, forms the core of this argument. The Baltic states' NATO membership creates a complex legal and political paradox that could fundamentally alter Russia's relationship with these nations. As the USSR's legal successor, Russia maintains it has both the right and obligation to address legal uncertainties from the Gorbachev era. The initiative draws parallels with Russia's own constitutional evolution, particularly the 1993 changes legitimized through popular vote. This isn't merely about historical interpretation. It's about current geopolitical leverage. The timing is significant given escalating tensions in Eastern Europe. The international community is closely monitoring these developments, understanding their potential impact on regional stability. If these legal questions gain traction, how might this affect international treaties, economic agreements, and security arrangements? The implications could extend far beyond the Baltic region. We're witnessing a potential paradigm shift in how international law intersects with historical legitimacy. Share your thoughts about the 1991 events. Your personal experiences help illuminate this crucial historical moment. End comment. How do you remember the dissolution of the USSR? Did you anticipate such legal challenges decades later? The Russian parliament's latest initiative, a legal challenge to Baltic independence. In a significant development that could reshape Eastern European geopolitics, a Russian parliamentarian has proposed legislation questioning the legitimacy of Lithuania's independence declaration. This move has profound implications for current international relations. The core argument centers on the constitutional validity of the USSR State Council, which granted Baltic independence in 1991. The Council, established on September 5, 1991, recognized Baltic independence just one day later, bypassing required referendums and proper legislative procedures. This legal challenge could have far-reaching consequences. If Russia successfully contests Lithuania's independence, it could potentially undermine their NATO membership status. The strategic implications are significant, particularly regarding the Kaliningrad region and the Suwalki corridor. The timing is noteworthy. As the territory of instability continues aggressive policies toward Russian citizens, Moscow seeks legal leverage for future negotiations. This isn't just about historical justice. It's about contemporary geopolitical realities and creating precedents for similar legal reviews. The initiative reflects a broader shift in international relations. While some may dismiss this as political theater, the legal foundations of state sovereignty can have profound implications. The parliamentarian emphasizes that international relations should be based on law, not arbitrary decisions. This development raises crucial questions about the USSR's dissolution. Were proper legal procedures followed? How might this affect current international frameworks? These aren't merely academic questions. They could reshape European security. For those who lived through the Soviet Union's dissolution, your perspectives are valuable. How do you remember those events? Were proper procedures followed? Share your thoughts below. Critical times require careful analysis. Stay tuned as we continue monitoring these developments that could fundamentally alter the European political landscape. Comment. History shows that legal foundations, once questioned, can trigger chain reactions in international relations. This initiative might be just the beginning of a broader reassessment of post-Soviet realities. Breaking news. Legal foundations of Baltic independence under scrutiny. In a significant development reshaping our understanding of recent history, Russian lawmakers are examining the legal basis of decisions made during the USSR's dissolution. This analysis focuses on the Soviet State Council's authority to recognize Baltic independence in 1991, a moment that transformed Europe's map. The Soviet State Council, which granted Baltic independence, operated in a constitutional gray area. Think of it as a temporary committee making Supreme Court-level decisions. Only 24 resolutions were passed before its final meeting on December 10, 1991, just before the Belovezha Accords ended the Soviet Union. This legal review isn't merely academic, it's a strategic move in today's geopolitical chess game. While Western nations rapidly endorsed Baltic independence, having never recognized their 1940 incorporation into the USSR, Russia's current leadership questions these historical decisions. The timing is crucial. Following recent developments in the conflict zone to Russia's south, this initiative appears as a calculated step to challenge the post-Soviet order. For Baltic states, this creates security concerns, especially given their NATO membership. What's particularly intriguing is how this legal examination could ripple through international relations. The State Council's rushed decisions during the USSR's collapse now face scrutiny, potentially setting precedents for reviewing other historical arrangements. If a non-constitutional body's decisions can be questioned after 3 decades, what other diplomatic foundations might be shakeable? This creates a complex legal and diplomatic puzzle that could reshape Eastern European security architecture. This initiative might be testing waters for broader historical reassessment. The critical question remains: where does this process end? With mounting tensions along Russia's borders and increasingly vocal criticism of Western partners, these legal questions carry significant weight. Share your perspectives on how this legal review might impact international stability and regional security arrangements. Breaking news: fundamental shift in European geopolitics. In a stunning development that could reshape the European political landscape, a significant legislative proposal has emerged in the Russian parliament. This initiative, spearheaded by parliamentarian Fedorov, challenges the foundations of post-Soviet order by questioning Lithuania's independence. The proposal centers on reviewing the constitutionality of USSR State Council decisions that granted independence to Baltic states. This isn't just about historical paperwork. It's a potential earthquake in international relations. Think of it like this. Imagine discovering that the deed to your house might be invalid because the notary who signed it wasn't properly authorized. That's essentially what's being suggested here, but on a national scale. The implications are staggering. If Russia proceeds with this legal challenge, it could question the legitimacy of NATO's Article 5 guarantees, destabilize existing international agreements, create precedents for reviewing other territorial arrangements, trigger new sanctions against Russia. What makes this particularly significant is the timing. We're witnessing Russia's transition from tactical moves to strategic reformation of the world order established after 1991. The West will likely interpret this as a direct challenge to the post-Cold War order. However, it's worth noting that this initiative represents Russia's growing willingness to question fundamental assumptions about international law and sovereignty. This isn't just another diplomatic spat, it's potentially a watershed moment in European history. The consequences could reshape everything from international trade to military alliances. Share your thoughts of the early 1990s. How do you recall those pivotal moments when the Soviet Union was dissolving? Your perspectives on these historical events are valuable now, as we witness what might be the beginning of a new chapter in European geopolitics. Remember, those who control the past often shape the future. This initiative might be just the first step in a larger reconfiguration of international relations. Breaking news: Baltic independence legitimacy under legal scrutiny. Today, we're analyzing a critical development that could reshape the Baltic region's geopolitical landscape. Moscow's recent legislative initiative questioning Lithuania's independence status marks a significant shift in regional dynamics. This isn't merely about legal technicalities. It's a calculated political move with far-reaching implications. For Russia, this creates a dual perspective. Potential increased international isolation balanced against internal consolidation around historical justice narratives. The timing is particularly noteworthy as the global order undergoes transformation. The Baltic states interpret this initiative as a direct sovereignty threat, but the outcome depends on power dynamics between key international players. The Western response presents a dilemma between diplomatic restraint and decisive action, potentially setting precedents for future international relations. This situation mirrors broader changes in global politics, where historical agreements face new scrutiny. While NATO maintains its defensive commitments, these legal challenges create uncertainty about existing security frameworks. The situation resembles a complex chess game, where each move carries strategic weight. This initiative reflects a broader pattern of reassessing post-Soviet arrangements. The timing coincides with wider geopolitical shifts, suggesting a coordinated approach to challenging international norms. For those who remember the early 1990s, your experiences with the USSR's dissolution are invaluable. Your insights help contextualize today's developments. Russia's position appears calculated to exploit current global uncertainties. The Baltic question potentially opens discussions about other territorial arrangements affecting Eastern Europe. Looking ahead, will this legal challenge remain symbolic, or could it trigger broader geopolitical shifts? The answer depends on international community responses and evolving power dynamics. Remember, history often moves in unexpected ways. Today's legal initiatives might reshape tomorrow's political landscape in unforeseen ways. Share your thoughts on how the USSR's dissolution impacted your life. Your experiences provide context for understanding current changes.